Okay guys, this is a lot simpler video. This is my brother's compound bow. He bought it back in the late 90s, I don't know, 99, 98. It's a really old PSC, but it's in like just pristine shape. He hasn't shot it much, hasn't hunted with it much, but he's always kept it in his case and taken good care of it. But he wants a new bowstring so he can start hunting again. So this is actually a teardrop string. It's a 35-inch teardrop. He's super old school. He wants to use his old release. He wants to just have 2 knocking points, hook his release under it. I can do all that. So I'm going to go through the steps that I would take to get this bow back in the same position that it was when I got it. So first off, probably should be more hair shoes. I'm going ahead and measure his peep height from the bottom of his knocking point here. That he likes, something that he's felt for years, something that he's comfortable with. So I'll come here to the center of that peep. It's going to be roughly 6 1/8. So now I know that. I'm going to get me a piece of paper. I'm going to write this down, 6 1/8. And this bow won't take near as much measurements as a bow that you're replacing the strings and cables. So for you people that never saw a teardrop and don't know what it is, this is definitely a super simple how-to on that. So on this, pretty much measure the peep height. You're pretty much done. This is how simple this thing is to put back on. So you press the compound bow here, and simply pull the teardrop off. It just hooks on, just like that. Pull it off on one side, come to the other, hook it off, and that's that. I'm going to take this and set it off here to the side and grab the new bowstring. And this, I mean, these old compound bows, they are still highly capable of killing deer. I'm actually hunting with an old Bear Kodiak right now. I have for the last couple days. The first 6 or 7 days of the season I actually hunt with my longbow, and I still plan on hunting with my longbow. But I have that as a backup, as it's my brother's old compound bow. Plus I have a bow for whenever it's later in the season and I found a buck to hunt and stuff. But right now everything's kind of pretty slow. But let's get back to the task at hand here. Just take your bowstring here, flip it on one side, just run the cable back around the track, because it is a cable, it's a metal cable. Hook it onto your teardrop, come around to the other side, hook it on. And I'm going to go ahead while the bow is pressed, because there's no need in pressing the bow any more than you have to. Let's go ahead and grab he's going to be using one of the old rubber tube peeps. I actually highly recommend that for a lot of people, just because you know it's going to come back every time, no matter what. People come to me all the time, man, can you put a twist in my bowstring? Can you do this, that? Say, how about I just put a rubber tube peep in it? Because it's literally, as long as it's put on properly and the tube is not too short, it's not going to affect anything at all. Sometimes people get the tubes too short and they pull out, and then it makes a huge disaster. But if you put it on right, it's going to last for years that way. So let's go ahead and come in here and pop this string separator up here a little bit. We'll just slide this peep in. And this is not going to be precise, but it is going to be in the string for now. I like just to come here kind of where it's going to be and kind of just get it close in the bowstring so that I don't have to take it back out. And yes, it is a tube peep, so it necessarily could be completely backwards, but just in case that ever does happen to break on you, that you would be in a little better position. Your peep's not completely backwards when the deer of a lifetime comes in. Okay, so that's going to be decently close right there. I'll take this string separator and go ahead and slide that all the way up. This is really important, especially if you ever need to put a new peep in. And then come in with your razor blade and just tick off the ends here so it's not huge. I don't know why Jason put such a huge thing on there, but just leave about it. When I said he had these things for a while, I'm not even kidding. When you press on the vein, they just crumble and break. He definitely needs an upgrade, but I have to talk him into it first. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this bow out of the press and set. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm so not used to putting metal knocks onto a bowstring, so you can bear with me on that end. Okay, I got 2 metal knocks here. I'm going to grab my knock pliers and just kind of get one kind of cinched onto the bowstring and get it close. What I just done was very unnecessary, by the way. Grab me a tape measure. I'm going to try to get that 6 1/8. Get this thing lined up here. Just going to get myself in the ballpark before I pull it out of the press. Okay, let me pull out of the press and get that thing actually set properly. Okay, now that I had the peep in the right position, I'm going to go ahead and just set this pretty level for him. And to be honest, you know, if you set up a lot of bows, and I don't have room for a vise in here right now in the shop that I'm in. I don't have room to have all the fancy leveling stuff, and quite frankly, it's kind of unnecessary. I primarily, I don't even know why I'm not, pretty much 100% of the time, I use a bow square. Snap this thing onto the bowstring. I don't know why I'm doing it the way I was. Pretty much set that thing up dead level. I'm sure the guy 20 years ago probably set this rest with a bow square. Let me see if he did. No, he didn't. But he actually ran it about 1/4 of an inch higher, so there we go. We're right there. It probably is, I would say, roughly 1/4 inch higher. Let's see, just for grins. Because like I said, I want this to feel the exact same way for my brother. It's actually my brother's bow, compound bow. Yeah, actually, I like it 1/8 of an inch high. So we're going to go ahead and crimp this top one down. Let me tell you guys right now, these crimps here are the absolute berries. I think they're just super cheap. Cartel, I think that's who makes them. Just so simple. Knock set pliers. Before I crimp this one all the way down, make sure that you put your arrow that you're going to be using. Like I said, this is a very old school setup here. He's just going to use an old, I don't even know what in the world it is. It's a trophy hunter. You just pull back a little bit, slide it on the bowstring, and then he's right there. And here's a big thing, you know, pay attention. Go ahead and leave a little bit of gap in this so that this release actually has room to go up under the knock here without actually bumping up against it. And right now I have a literally 30-second to a 1/16th of play. I get those things really crimped down after a couple shots. That'll settle in really nice for him, and he'll be in a lot better shape. hit that from all sides, get it really good in there. And next, going to do the tube peep. I probably am the most wasteful person when it comes to this stuff right here. It's just tube, but I go ahead, I know this is going to be a 30-inch draw. I'll go ahead and cut off, I don't know, 18 to 24 inches of it. I don't even know what's standard. I just go ahead and get myself some extra so I have plenty of room to tie. I don't tie on a ton of tube peeps. I mean, a lot of the compounds these days, they don't really call for them. But with this being a older, just teardrop, basic bowstring, go ahead and do it on this one. Go ahead and get on this. You try to get it all the way down on it. You don't want this thing to be slipping, sliding at all. Just get it all the way down. And on this specific bow, there's actually a spot here for the shrink tube to slide onto, but the plate's actually broken. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and tie this to one of the cables, and try to go ahead and tie it to the one closest to you, so it doesn't get wrapped up in the opposite one. I'm just going to tie a basic knot on this. I probably have, like I said, I probably always use way too much, but it's for good purpose. Just going to try to get the proper length here. Go ahead and grab his old release. And I always highly recommend going ahead and putting an arrow in the bow, just in case, you know. Go ahead and make sure everything's on properly. Slide your release on. Definitely don't have way too much. But on this ordeal, way better to have not enough. Or have too much instead of not enough. I know this is kind of a drawn out video on how to put a teardrop on, but I enjoy this. I enjoy the struggles of doing stuff all the time. I'm going to shorten that puppy up about a bunch. And here's the funny thing, I'll put about 20 or more of those shrink tubes on, and I'll talk about how 18 to 24 inches is unnecessary. Just watch it. And that, my friends, is about perfect. See, it just tightens it up enough that it straightens the piece. I'll go ahead and I'm going to make that about 2 inches shorter probably, just because. That is about perfect. So what I'll do is just come in here with a razor blade, and I have 16 million of them. Why is not one laying right here? There's one. And cut off a ton of that excess there. So I wasted roughly, I don't know, about 6 to 10 inches worth of tube, which isn't a deal breaker. Just a little bit more. Tie that. I'm going to go ahead and measure that peep height again, because that's another thing. Those stinking things will slide, and actually we are at 6 1/8 pretty much. Perfect. Draw it back one more time. Perfect. I think he'll be pretty happy with that. Now that I know my knocking point's right and everything's right, I'm going to go ahead and trim my excess again on my tube peep. And go ahead and make sure this thing's cinched down pretty good. Don't pull too tight because you'll break it. Okay guys, I'm going to go through how to tie in a peep on this, and since I wasn't paying attention, it was running my mouth more than I was tying it in. I'm going to cut what I have out and do it the right way. I'm not tying in a regular peep, I'm tying in a tube peep, which is different. That's done. We're tying in a tubed peep, not a regular one. So on these, actually what I do is I'll run my string up through the middle and then wrap, get it into the this tube peep actually has a little spot for me to tie around. Just one's enough here. And we'll wrap around. I got different tube peeps and these have little grooves on them. How stinking nice of them. Just wrap down that a couple times and then just run your back serve here. This is literally going to be the longest video ever to do a teardrop. World's longest. Okay. Get that cinched down. Trim the excess off of that, then run it down the other side. If I can get in here, geez. Tight spaces. If anybody else stick their tongue out when they're trying to focus? I always catch myself doing that. I used to make fun of my brother Jacob before he passed away all the dang time. Why you always gotta focus? Why always get your tongue out when you're trying to focus? I'm not kidding. This joker be shooting at a deer. He had that tongue stuck out, and it's just funnier than heck. When he shot a basketball when we were kids, he always had his tongue hanging out. It's beautiful there. There she blows. This is the coolest little lighter here. It's called Explorer. You can get it from Amazon. Thanks where I got this thing from. Stays charged for quite a while. You don't need no butane or anything special. It charges with just a simple old charger cord for your cell phone. So we got this thing tied in. Now all I gotta do is fix all them old fletchings, and this joker's gonna be ready to go bow hunting again. I hope you guys like this video. If you can, like, share, subscribe. I don't know how many old videos there is of putting a teardrop on. Definitely none this long. So I appreciate it, guys. God bless, and hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for watching.